Taking a tragic situation and turning it into a positive one is not always an easy task, but that's exactly what the Morton family did after the loss of their 16-month-old daughter. Now let's talk to Carrie Morton about how she started the Glory Girl Foundation.
The Glory Girl Foundation is, we are a foundation that has a house in Little Rock that's about a minute drive from Arkansas Children's Hospital. And we are there so that families with kids at Children's Hospital can have a place to stay where they don't have to stay on the waiting room chairs in the ICU, just to take away a little bit of the burden of a really tough time. A lot of families come in, off of Angel One, the helicopter. They don't have anything, but the clothes on their back. It's an emergency situation. We try to keep the house ready to walk in and, take a shower, get some rest. And so we try to keep it stocked with just, boxed foods, canned foods, all of toiletries, cleaning supplies, all of that. It has a washer and dryer, so families can just come in and have that one thing taken away that they don't have to worry about. We started the Glory Girl Foundation because we have a daughter Glory Danielle. She was born in 2010, and she was born at UAMS in Little Rock, but was transferred immediately to Children's Hospital. And she had what is called hypoplastic left heart syndrome, which essentially means really the left side of her heart was non-existent. And we knew that. I think I was about 20 weeks pregnant when we found out. They actually diagnosed her while I was still pregnant with her. So it was a really, really rough pregnancy, just the knowledge of knowing or not knowing what was going to happen. So they had told us that they didn't know if she would live past a minute, or they really had no clue as to what her prognosis would be. And so she was born July 22nd of 2010, and she made it past 1 minute. So we were glad, and she was born there at UAMS, and then they transferred her immediately to Arkansas Children's Hospital, which throughout our stay there we found was just, it's so interesting because it's a place of such, a lot of pain and a lot of heartbreak, but it is also just filled with joy. I mean, and I've heard so many other people talk about it that way. It is absolutely filled with joy. So Arkansas Children's in itself is a wonderful place that we have here in Arkansas. And so she was taken immediately there. She lived for 16 months. And in those 16 months, almost all of that was lived in the hospital, in ICU, in the cardiovascular intensive care at Arkansas Children's Hospital. I think she had 4 open heart surgeries. Her condition was very severe, one of the most severe congenital heart defects. And so but she was a fighter. We were so glad to have her for 16 months. It was the hardest 16 months of our lives, but I always tell everyone I would go back and do it all over again. And I never understood that before this happened. And so it was so hard. And one of the hard things about it was at the time, my oldest daughter, Eliana, I think she would have been about 3 at that time. So my husband and I were trying to take care of a 3-year-old, all the while with Glory in the ICU. And really her situation at all times was, we really didn't know. We never knew when we were going to get this call that said, hey, you need to come to the hospital. And it was very up and down all the time. And so added to that, we have all of our expenses, all of our world goes on. Our mortgage payment at home is still there, all of our expenses, plus we have more expenses because now we're staying in Little Rock, trying to, taking care of Glory. And so My husband was driving back and forth about 2.5 hours away to Van Buren, Arkansas, back to Little Rock, just so that he could work and support what we were doing. And so throughout our time there, we stayed a lot. We stayed a pretty big part of our time in a hotel, which adds up really quick. We were there, since we were there for 16 months, we did end up getting a rent house, which was also very expensive. And so this in itself is what led to us thinking, okay, we can't do anything about kids getting sick and being born. That's going to happen in our world. And so we thought, what is something that we can do? And the thing that we can do is take just a little bit of that burden. Even if a family just goes there one night and gets, 2 or 3 hours of sleep, it's just a small blessing that can help in just probably the hardest thing that a family will go through. Financial donations are probably the best, and we have our website, glorygirlfoundation.com, and I think you can hit a little button, donate now, and anything is appreciated, just to keep it, and every single dollar helps to keep it open just one more day where we can have it. When somebody calls and says, hey, my sister just flew in, had to fly in with their child and they have nowhere to stay and they don't have, just so it can be there and we can say, yes, we have a place for you.